Hello and welcome to Were You Not Entertained? I'm Daniel.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm James.
And today we're going to be talking about Lovebirds, which is a new Netflix hit.
Yeah. During these times, we're seeing a lot more movies hit the streaming services than before.
Yes, we are indeed.
Yeah, absolutely. This was supposed to be a theater release in April, but obviously that didn't happen. And so now it's number 4 on Netflix's top 10 watched things in the US.
As far as we can take that.
Yeah.
Whatever number 4 means.
That also I wonder if there's any financial advantages to that. If you project a romantic comedy in the month of April, how much do those make for a studio like Paramount, and how much was the contract worth with Netflix? Maybe we'll be able to see the studios work with Netflix a little bit more after some success.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think that could be interesting. Netflix has always been pretty decent at giving you these really good, not necessarily fantastic films, but really solid, enjoyable movies.
Yeah, they're they're all over the board, right? I mean, they have Oscar winners down to movies that you watch and go, what was that? What did I just see?
Yeah, some of them are terrible.
Yeah, some of them
are
horrible.
Roma, you know.
Yeah, exactly. But they do have a tendency to do pretty well with the comedy. You know, the kind of it's kind of a mix of an action comedy love story, right? It's a rom-com, but they always kind of have some sort of action kind of mixed in.
Well, I think that plays really well on the small screen. That, you know, if you have some giant epic Stanley Kubrick-esque, you know, sci-fi or horror movie, you want to see that in the big screen.
Right.
Or some biopic like 1917 or something of that nature. You know, it's the visual aspect that some people have a 75-inch TV that they sit close to, but not everybody does.
Sure.
And so it doesn't have the same... Something like a comedy works kind of on whatever screen you watch it on.
Yeah, and I think Netflix has had some pretty big successes lately as far as comedies and rom-coms. This is hot on the heels of Murder Mystery, which was another decently popular, super action-packed rom-com. And the double part of To All the Boys I've Loved Before. So they're in a really strong niche for themselves with these kind of movies.
Yeah, it seems to be working for them.
And just to not bury the lead too far into it, it definitely worked for me on this one. I thoroughly enjoyed this. And it was purely based off the charm of the two leads. I'm terrible with names, so I'm going to try not to screw them up. It's Issa Rae and Kumail Nanjiani.
That's right.
All right. Didn't butcher.
No, you didn't.
Good job.
But they were absolutely wonderful together. Those two are hilarious. They both seem charming and likable, which is one of the biggest problems with rom-coms, is there's almost one of them that you don't really like. Like a good rom-com, you want both of them to win by getting together again or for the first time.
Right.
And so they were just absolutely charming throughout this. And this movie would have nothing if it wasn't for them, because they were really the people on screen almost the whole time. I mean, of course they were the whole time, they're the protagonists, but like there wasn't a whole lot of interaction with the with like other characters having any kind of long dialogue. I don't think other characters say more than 1 or 2 sentences at a time before they come in.
Right.
And on top of that, like you don't have them cutting away to see what's happening in the story that they're not experiencing. This is literally following them the whole story. So if they didn't work, this whole movie would be garbage, but they did magnificently. So I thought it was great.
Yeah, I thought that they played off of each other really well. It's nice to have, two characters that are portrayed by actors that are really good at, the fast-paced wit and being
Seasoned
able to
comedy
fire
actors.
back and forth at each other.
Yeah, they had great chemistry, and everything that they did was really funny, and it worked together because they seemed on the same pace. So even when they're having fights or arguments or these other big moments, they're still funny and they fit together so well. You just feel like, sure, maybe they're arguing, but they've had the same argument for 4 years. And you get a lot of history from it.
Their relationship felt lived in.
Yeah. But in a good way. But it felt very real and very comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that it felt lived in a good way at the beginning.
Yeah, right.
That was kind of oh my
I've
god.
ever seen an episode of The Amazing Race.
Exactly.
Yeah, and how many times do you have an argument about something completely stupid and it's like 10 minutes into the argument before you stop and you go, good God, are we arguing about this? But you do, because this is the hill you've come to die on. And it's The Amazing Race.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not dying on that hill.
Oh, man.
But no, it was
one thing that I did notice about this. Oh, real quick, I just wanted to say, Kumail, like, this is the first time I noticed him being ripped from his upcoming. He's in the Eternals, right?
I think so.
I know he's getting completely tore up for a upcoming Marvel movie,
right.
And so, it was noticeable in this one. I was like, damn, he is big. Like, that's not the way I remember him from early on. I mean, of course, he's changed over the years, but like, I remember him all skinny on Silicon Valley.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and they do try to hide it a little because, like, when he gets kicked in the chest, I thoroughly expected some good shots of just how massive and grotesque that bruise was going to be on his chest. And I wonder if partially they just didn't show it because they didn't want that particular avenue of comedy, or if it's because, oh my God, he's so ripped and it just doesn't fit our regular filmmaker guy story.
This doesn't fit the character. This guy's editing movies all day long. Why has he got six pack?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that could be, because I was curious about that myself. Because when he was like, I can't take my shirt off, I was like, y'all have got to, like, you can't wear that dirty ass shirt the whole time.
Right.
And so, they did take his shirt off, but it was a very close scene. Like, you could just kind of see the top of the bruise that would be. They didn't really give you the full picture of
just
how jacked up you would be had you just been kicked in the chest by a horse.
Yeah, especially hard enough to kick you, 4 or 5 feet away.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Those leave big bruises.
I've heard. They also kill people.
Yes.
One thing that I did not truly realize until I looked it up on IMDb, and I'm hoping it's the same in the credits because I didn't watch the credits, just to be honest, that they actually named most of the characters by what they're called throughout the movie. So Paul Sparks' character, the main antagonist, is named Mustache.
Right.
Yes.
And you have Bicycle, played by Nicholas Parsons, and Mr. and Mrs. Hipster as the people who originally called the police on the murder.
Yeah, exactly.
I really appreciate that in some weird, like, bucking the system, like, minor rebel way that I just find absolutely amazing. And it's one of those little things that makes me enjoy the movie even more.
Yeah, because you don't have to take the time to name the people that were on screen for all of a minute and a half.
Right, exactly. Like,
because we're going to know who they are.
Right. Mustache is a way more likely name for me to refer to him whenever I'm telling a friend what the movie's about.
Yeah.
Than I am to ever be like, Claudius, Parthenon or whatever his name would be if they had to come up with something for every character. And
yeah, exactly.
Well, even when he finds the piece of paper with the address on it, they don't really show you or tell you the name of his boss, who is Bicycle. It's
a phone number and address.
Yeah.
They actually
no
do name.
information.
They do name Bicycle when he. Yeah, the frat boy.
The frat boy names him. Yeah.
Yeah, she calls date rape.
Yeah. See, there we go. You got Bicycle, mustache, date rape.
Right.
The hipster couple.
Yeah,
I'm sure they have like the waitress. That's probably
that was an interesting
diner waitress. That is her name. Diner waitress.
Interesting scene, and their clothes.
I do appreciate that they did call the kid Steve.
Yeah.
They didn't name his character that. That'd be terrible. Going on future interviews for movies.
I played date
rape. Your character's name was literally.
Yeah. No,
so I can appreciate that. But, yeah. And, it also had the little things like the fact that that Mustache realized that he still needed to find somebody when they didn't remember to close the closet behind them.
Right.
And it felt like it was a well thought out and self-congruent movie. I mean, there's some crazy stuff like the sex cult and things like that, obviously.
Yeah.
But like it felt self-consistent, which is something that's very important for somebody like me.
It was.
There was a few little issues. I mean,
like what?
Well, when Mustache goes to the closet door and he's looking in there and you can clearly see his pistol, except the shots he fired were silenced. But when he's holding the pistol in front of the closet door, it has no silencer.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, he did.
And he did scratch his head with it. And I mean, I guess it was a few minutes later. It probably wasn't that hot by then. But
well, yeah, I guess that depends on how many people he killed with that gun in the other room.
He only used the gun at the end. He may have fired like 4 or 5 bullets, probably max.
No, he's a hell of a shot.
No, he beat them all to hell first, and then he shot them.
Yeah, I was just more curious with what kind of pistol makes that sound without a silencer.
None pistol.
Because the answer's none. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a few things like that. There were a couple things that I have problems with in some comedies that are just hard for me to watch. That are just they're just cringy to me.
Yeah,
like the Grease thing.
Oh, that was God. Well, that was a lot of it was a CG for me. I don't know if that was CG or not, but that grease did not look real at all.
It did not.
Neither did the bacon.
No, it did not.
If it was real, then they should have CG'd it to make it look real. Because it did not look real at all.
It did. No, it did not. Well, and the other side of that is like they're tied up to this chair, right? Mm-hmm. But their legs aren't tied up. So if you're talking about coming over here and dumping some grease on me or sticking me in front of a horse,
swing the chair around, yeah,
I'm just going to kick the pan as you walk over. You're getting a face full of grease, and your life is wrap. No, her husband got a face full of grease.
Yeah, the senator.
Yeah, yes. Exactly. It's a good thing they were going to a masked party,
right?
Yeah, and that was a great moment. It was a great sort of like cringy idiot moment when he says unmask thyself and they take their masks right off.
I was like, oh, yeah. Idiot. I mean, it's supposed to be that, but
well, yeah,
you know, if you're for real in this organization, like you're in a place where you're not supposed to be, and everybody around you is silent, you're not going to just be jabbering on the whole time because you don't want people to notice you.
Right.
Well, they were definitely supposed to be your average people that have never had any interaction with violence or organized crime like this.
I think that's common sense. I don't think it has to be experience that tells you not to be the only one in a giant room of people that you're not supposed to be in talking.
I think there's a fair number of, most people I would agree would shut up if they were infiltrating a sex cult of powerful people.
Yeah,
But
I think so.
I also think that the characters were clearly not normal people.
Yeah, well,
and they dealt with their issues in a very vocal way.
Yeah, like when they're telling on each other.
Oh my god!
In the police station.
Oh yes.
About selling edibles and crap. I was like, what? She didn't ask you any of that. What?
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how they handle stress.
A little bit of chatter when they're nervous.
It was funny, but it was hard. Like I said, some of that is hard for me to watch. I'm just like, oh, do you have to be so dumb?
Well, some people, yes.
Well, some people.
Not everyone's as
fair
comfortable
enough.
with high pressure situations.
One thing that I think would have been better in this is if they had saved the two detectives behind the glass, saying, "I like them. I hope they stay together." I think that they should have reversed that and put that after the detectives had come in and talked to them, because I felt like that released a ton of tension, and
yeah.
I almost expected the cops to come in and then beat them half to death. You know what I mean? To make it the juxtaposition of them liking him and then being horrible. But then they came in and were like, no, everything's cool. Even when they told on each other about all their crimes they've committed throughout the years.
Right.
And they were like, no, it's not a big deal. Oh yeah, we know about the sex cult. And you know what I mean? Basically just sat there and let him go home and were the good guys the way the police are supposed to be.
Yeah.
Then it just kind of, that tension had been relieved because it was kind of funny and kind of cute, and you were like, yeah, as an audience I kind of hope they'd stick together as well. It looks like they're going that way. And so then, like, I don't know, it just didn't have that like build up that it might have had otherwise. But that's me being an armchair director.
I don't think you're wrong though. I think that could have worked really well for the movie instead of the way it was played.
Yeah. But overall, I really enjoyed this. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I think it was definitely fun to watch for sure.
Yeah, it was entertaining, and I enjoyed that the police gave the definite impression that none of this was necessary. They could have just turned themselves in instead of doing all of this for a whole night.
Yeah, they were very nonchalant about, we watched the cameras, we saw the whole thing.
I love how they're like, we were trying to protect you the whole time. There were security cameras everywhere. We saw exactly what happened.
We were trying to get a hold of you, let you know.
Yeah.
I can't blame them, though. Like,
right?
After that phone call, they just killed this guy. I would have been like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I just got out of the passenger seat. I just got out of the back seat.
I hit him. I just hit him with my car, and it did the job. Those guys are great. They were hilarious.
Yeah, they were. I'm not saying this because. I forget what she said.
It sounded like the operator had asked them like what race they were, and he was like, "Not that it matters for this is totally coincidental, but she's African American, and
he just happens to also be a person of color, and I'm not calling because they're a person of color. I'm calling because I watched them murder someone."
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah,
fair enough.
I appreciate how comedy can call out the situations of our day.
Yes. Well, as it does.
Yeah, and overall, a lot of fun. Very entertaining and enjoyable. Short movie, but a lot of really good stuff in there.
Agreed.
Yeah. How long was that movie?
It was like 96 minutes or...
It felt like a perfect runtime. I didn't even notice it. Like, it was exactly as long as it needed to be.
Yeah, it was just under an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Just under.
86 minutes?
Yeah.
Oh, 86.
Sorry. I do have to comment on the clothes that they got from the whatever, like a CVS or the dollar store or wherever the hell they were. Yeah, that was special.
That was fantastic. And they're like, oh no, look at the cop. Of course he's going to look at you. Look at how you're dressed, just standing on the curb.
Yeah.
Oh, phew. He's just a regular racist.
I mean, honestly, dude, if you had any color of people wearing those clothes standing outside of the store, I probably would have looked the exact same way in my normal car.
Yeah.
Like, yes. I don't blame anybody for driving by and staring when you're dressed like that. But
what are you wearing?
Yeah.
Exactly.
A turtleneck.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right. Well, I think that pretty much covers it for Lovebirds, except for our favorite scenes.
Yeah. How about you go first, James?
Oh, me? Oh,
turn the tables
have turned. Yeah, mine was definitely when they broke into the frat boy's house, or Mr. Bicycle's house. And you had the kind of evolving plot line of why are there a bunch of frat boys sticking pictures into envelopes, and then you had Mustache come in and they had to escape, and it was them also trying to almost pretend to be all the things they've seen in movies or that they had experienced from other people, like what was her name? Edie?
Yes, their interrogation tactics.
Yeah, exactly. That they were just trying to copy what they had seen before because they were so out of their own league.
Yeah.
I thought that it was a really fun scene, and it kind of tied up a lot of stuff, and it was kind of the scene that I was like, all right, yeah, you got me. What are we going to go? Where are we going to go from here?
Yeah. No, I thought that was great. The way she kept slapping him in the face.
Yeah. Why do you keep slapping me?
That was pretty good.
That was a good one. What about you, Rachel?
I mean, I did it to myself, but yeah, it was when they broke into Bicycle's house and they're just abusing this little frat boy. And it's so funny because they're shouting.
Some abusing of his own.
Oh, they're shouting contradictory things at him, and he's just so confused.
Mm-hmm.
And then he runs out for help and he gets killed. And it's just really funny the way the whole scene went.
It was a really terrible set of events, but it was hilarious the way they presented it.
Yes, exactly.
Like the news report is not going to be humorous at all. No. It's going to be very violent and horrible. Four young men gunned down in their prime by a hitman controlled by an evil sex ring.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's probably exactly what it would be like.
Yeah. What about you, Daniel?
So mine was actually the car chase. So everything that happens in that whole section, from hitting
the inciting incident.
Yeah, from hitting Bicycle the first time after they break up and he's not paying attention, to the cop who actually is a cop saying that he is a cop, and how excited they are to chase down this guy on a bicycle.
Justice.
They were all for it until he got run over. And then run over again. 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 Before he gets out and pretty much runs away. I mean, he pats him down to try to find the phone, but he hears sirens and is like, I'm out of here. Takes off.
Right.
And leaves them holding the bag, so to speak. And then you get into the part that we already talked about, where the hipsters come in, and you get a definite explanation at that moment of what kind of characters both Leilani and Gibran are.
Mm-hmm.
They even in that moment, when it was say as little as you can to express what's happened here and that you're not involved, that they just flood from the mouth and say a bunch of things that sound really bad and really incriminating.
Yeah.
That they did. I mean, so technically they did. Yes, they did hit him, but they didn't do this.
Right.
And while they were trying to explain that, you've said so many things along the way that I can't believe you now. Like, you already said you ran over him. So it just kind of puts their characters in a real light, not just in their relationship, because that's kind of really all you get from the beginning is just what their relationship's like.
Right.
But then you see that the fight that they're in is just how they are with everyone.
Yeah.
They just run their mouths.
And it did. This movie had a ton of really great quotable sort of moments. Like even in the beginning when she's complaining that he doesn't like restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about how he's over there writing a Yelp review with his white lady fingers.
Yeah.
And it's
that was great.
It is so funny. And when he talks about it being too salty, I about died laughing. That was so funny to me,
Yeah.
I guess. That's my sense of humor.
It was great.
One of the things that I liked about that scene too was the fact that it had I don't know, it was very honest in the way the rest of the movie was too. Like the idea of them jumping out to want to help this guy that they accidentally hit in the middle of a breakup in the car. That kind of like fear and panic. And then all of a sudden he runs off and you're like, oh my God, this is going to be terrible. What's happening? Are we good? Should we call the cops? Like, what's the bad thing? And then all of a sudden a cop comes by and it's like, he's a criminal. Let's go after him. I need your car. And there's that kind of course they're going to get into it because it's almost an exoneration of them. They accidentally hit the guy, but it was because he was running from the police.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Now I did nothing wrong.
Exactly. And so, and then it just makes total sense all the way through. Like I could totally see myself as one of their characters and getting that kind of tied up into my own, oh God, what's going to happen? I accidentally hit this guy into, oh, thank goodness it was, I didn't want to hit anybody, but at least with a criminal running from the police, I'm not going to get in trouble for that. Oh, wait, no, the cop, quote unquote cop, just murdered him and then ran away, leaving me with a dead body in my crushed car or my bloody car.
Yeah.
Great.
Yes. That was great.
With blood on my shirt.
Yeah.
And it's a big disgrace.
Very good choice. All right. Well, then I think that just about wraps it up for the Lovebirds. I got to get that correct.
Yes.
Hopefully you enjoyed the movie and hopefully you enjoyed the episode. If you did, please go online and like and subscribe and join us next time on Were You Not Entertained?